Hello students, let's look at topic 5, environmental issues. It's 5.1.1 for Edexcel GCSE Computer Science. The main issue we have with modern technology and digital devices is this idea that electricity and data centers require 24/7 electricity. They need to be left on 24/7, which is quite detrimental to the environment, huge amount of energy consumption, and the manufacture of these items, your smartphones and all the other things, they require, mostly for the batteries inside, lithium ion batteries, which are made up of rare earth minerals, chemicals. There's lots of mining and extraction and processing. A huge amount of water and energy is being used up to essentially carve away the landscapes of countries, finding things like cobalt and gold, to make up these batteries, in particular, especially with EVs, electronic vehicles, and most modern electronics have lithium-ion batteries in them. So the standards in other countries, they might not be as high as those in the UK. So typically, some of these minerals come from places like China, for example. So one of the issues here is e-waste, because of course, to keep the shareholders happy, companies like Apple and various other companies, they will encourage a life cycle to be shorter than necessary. When I say that, there's no real fundamental reason why they couldn't make products to last. I have an old lawnmower made by a famous company beginning with black, and it has lasted nearly the same age as me, because things were built to last. Planned obsolescence is not a new idea, it's been going around for a long time. So every year you get your new iPhone iterations, and it's to keep the shareholders kind of happy and keep the money flowing into the company and dividends. But what does this mean? Electronic waste, the E stands for electronic waste. There are some regulations like the WEEE, which is Waste Electrical and Equipment Regulations, 2019, which do mean that some companies have to recycle or they have to allow some sort of recycling scheme. Like you can go to an Apple store and recycle your old products, for example. But they often most things just end up in landfill, because it's actually quite energy intensive to recycle. Let's have a look at some exam questions which can help us sort of decipher this issue. State one way users could reduce environmental impact on digital technology. Well, there are a number of things. We just need to state one of them. So reducing the use of such items would be helpful. Disposing of them responsibly. Any leaking chemicals, you typically find in Tesco's, they have those sort of recycling bins just for batteries. There's a reason they're there, because they cause issues, and it's better if the public can kind of have some safe place for them to be deposited. And also there might still be some rare earth minerals and other things and chemicals that might be able to get from it. Recycling, reuse. So I might just reuse. Replacing devices less frequently would be others. I use black market sometimes to buy old iPhones. There's no need to get some latest iPhone iteration when if you be honest about what you actually use it for, you probably could get away with an iPhone 12 or 11 even. Let's look at the next question. State, so it's a similar kind of command word here. two environmental issues associated with the disposal of technology. So two environmental issues, waste into landfill. Talk about that, and also toxins released into environment. I'll probably go along those. Also, a lot of our waste in the UK gets transported overseas anyway. We're not that responsible for a lot of our trash, our waste. It gets shipped off to be someone else's problem, and eventually just goes into someone else's landfill. It's usually what happens. The green energy is a bit of an issue. If you really look at the minutiae of it and what's actually going on with your waste. Let's have a look at another one. Large amounts of water are used to manufacture computer chips. How does this impact the environment? Well, there are all sorts of ways this impacts the environment. It's really bad around data centers. If you've got little towns and villages around data centers, if you look at their water pressure, it's non-existent. Essentially the land becomes pretty arid. It's just, those data centers use so much water. But also you could say, so it is a describe question, so rather than state, you actually want to say it. I would not use global warming. Okay, do not talk about global warming in this question. I would probably go with homes, local businesses don't have enough water. If too much is taken from local rivers, etc., sources. You can also talk about land, rivers. I'll put land here. Rivers will be polluted if contaminated water is released. So if the water's being treated somehow, if it's been used in a manufacturing or chemical process, and that gets back into the environment. So plenty there. In terms for describe questions, you really want to, this would be a mark here, is released, and polluted up to here will be another mark. So you're getting 2 marks. You want to link this together somehow, have a statement which links together. And don't be afraid to write a little bit more than you think is necessary. A replacement cycle is a time between the purchase of a device and the purchase of its replacement. Describe one impact. So, shorter, I'm just going to put replacement cycles, lead to more e-waste as devices are disposed of more often, something like that. That's easy enough to get 2 marks. Because we've talked about e-waste there. So you could also talk about pollution with this as well, if you wanted to talk about that. Extra manufacturing. Manufacture goes up. So more extraction. So therefore extraction, etc. So think of all the EV vehicles that have been sort of pumped into the market. That has meant there's so much rare earth mineral extraction to facilitate that. And if you have a longer replacement cycle time, then of course it means less devices to dispose of, less e-waste, and better for pollution. So I think those will be sort of indicative of the range of questions you might get here. The important thing is when you've got these describe questions, yes, it's asking about one thing, but you have to have 2 marks there. So just be careful with whatever you're saying, that you're linking it together. Okay, see you in the next topic.